What's good? What's good? It's like 360, and today we're going to be talking about trauma bonding, relationships, and self accountability. So, let's get into the topic of trauma bonding. So, let's look into the details. What is trauma bonding? Trauma bonding is trying to engage with another individual, but you have yet went down a path of self discovery. So this can lead into you making a lot of mistakes or not having an efficient or sufficient way of dealing with your emotions, and you dumping your emotional lack of intelligence on another individual because this person, you're utilizing this person to fulfill an insecurity or to fulfill a space that you have yet shined the light into and assessed. So when it comes to individuals that's lost into this space, individuals that's lost into this energy, individuals that's still out here needing validation in order to go down that path of self-discovery, these are the type of individuals that you are running to, or these are the type of individuals that you may have experienced or had experiences with when it comes to sharing a connection with these individuals. So you may be on the on the side of just wanting a genuine connection, but these individuals may not look at it that way. These individuals may be on the side of just wanting somebody that they can dump all of their insecurities on and their deep traumas that they have yet did that self-shadow work and self-realization in order to be able to clarify these things and come to that internal clarification, because we know that when it comes to our internal world and how that interacts with the external world, our internal world, well, our internal world is just a mirror, where our external world is just a mirror of our internal world. So if we're not actually going and kind of assessing the things that we're dealing with internally, things that could have, sprung from our childhoods, things that we was raised by our parents and things of those natures, and we just justify these things and chalk these things or just sweep these things under the rug. These things can develop into our adult lives as mental illness, or things that deals with us having these traumas or generational traumas that we don't want to or feel like we don't need to be able to deal with these things by ourselves. So that's just the lack of taking spiritual accountability and the lack of spirituality as well. So we got to make sure that we're prioritizing our spirituality and prioritizing our ability to assess these energies, so we can be able to do the right shadow work. So once we start to present our energy externally, we will be able to get better results from people, places, and things, because we'll be that shining light to show other people and to help other people how to get out of some flunked out energies that they may be lost into. But this is actual spiritual work that humans and individuals need to do. But humans and individuals are so lazy mentally, and they just don't want to, kind of put in that internal work. So they run away from these energies their whole life until they come across a strong spirit that kind of forces them or puts them in this energy to make them actually look into the mirror and assess themselves. So when it comes to doing this internal work and clearing clearing all of these indoctrinations that we may have been lost under due to our upbringing and things of those natures, and kind of coming to the conclusion that these things aren't us. So this is like going into your esoteric hall of mirrors and looking at yourselves, assessing yourselves, and seeing how you can kind of redirect those energies so it can be a little bit more favorable when you start to present yourself in the external world. So you won't come across as a person that's just have bad flunked out aura around them. You'll come across a person that got some aura around them that can come across as charismatic. So this is some energies that we may have to kind of assess when it comes to things that we do on a day-to-day basis, or some routines, or put this like in a routine or a pattern to kind of sit with yourself for a minute and kind of sit with your thoughts for a minute and assess your thoughts and just view your thoughts and kind of understand that you're not these things. Because when it comes to us having to learn from life experiences, we go through life just thinking that our thoughts and our feelings are are us, and we just think that these things are us, and we kind of chalk it up and let these things create us and make us. So we got to make sure that we're not kind of justifying these things or confining so much into our thoughts and feelings, because these things are not us. Our thoughts and feelings are just things that's, we're utilizing in order to get from point A to point B. So especially if you grew up in like a negative environment, if you grew up under negative parents, if you grew up in a negative household, then it's going to be kind of hard for you to be able to, get out of these energies, because you kind of use these things as a form of inner security or a shield to protect your soft spot. And when it comes to us being spirits, don't nobody want their soft spot to be pierced. Don't nobody want to feel completely naked in a circumstance or situation. So you may have to go through drastic measures just to be able to come to the conclusion, like, you know what, these things aren't me. I can operate better in the conditions that I'm in now. But you may be so gun-ho on these thoughts and these feelings that you developed when you was a child, because you needed these things to protect you, because you probably grew up under some narcissistic parents. You probably grew up under some parents that was, self-reflecting all the time, self-projecting themselves on you all the time. So it's going to be kind of hard for you to get out of these energies. So you got to make sure that you are extremely focusing on that internal work and that self-evaluation and that self-shadow work, because once you be able to gain clarity with that energy, once you be able to reach a point of your life to be like, okay, I can turn this around for myself. I can be able to use these energies to put me in a better position. I can be able to use these energy so I can start to gravitate more of people that's going to resonate with me on that frequency vibration. Once you start to put yourself once you start to play out those energies, and once you start to come to realizations of those energies, then this is you showing all possibilities in God, that you have the willpower and that you're willing to change something despite the outcome and how things look, and if the current scenario isn't even in your favor. This is you showing all possibilities in God, that you are a strong spirit. And then that's just, those entities are just going to be able to work through you and be able to help you through, the tough times that you may be going through, and you having those feelings and those thoughts that you're incapable. So it's kind of like you just got to get to that point. Once you get to that point, to be like, you know what, I'm finna change in my life, I'm finna change in myself, because this is something I need to do so I can start to produce better results when it comes to the way that I'm, participating with the external world. Because if you stay in those lower vibrations, if you stay in that state of being for a long period of time, and you don't actually, you just gain comfort in that energy, and you don't really want to, change your ways, change your current lifestyle, change your mentality, change your state of being so you can start to produce different results, then you may go a whole life of being a negative individual that always end up getting isolated, or that always end up, you know, being in some manipulative energies or some self-destructive energies. So we got to make sure that we're not playing out those energies, because we don't want to live life having to go through those energies. We don't want to live life having to just be negative spirits and negative spirits all the time. Ain't nobody gonna want to be around you. Ain't nobody gonna want to participate with you, because every time somebody, and if somebody does come around to try to help you out, to try to better you as an individual, you turn these people down. So it's like you spit in the face of the individuals or people that God is trying to send you to actually help you redirect these energies and change your life for the better, because you don't got so confined, you don't got so comfortable with upholding this image of yourself, thinking that you need this in order to protect some form of insecurity that you developed when you was younger. Or this can happen early in our adult lives as well, because we have adults that's also going through this energy, you know, just dealing with relationships and how relationships are being conducted in these new times. Because looking at the current conditions of relationships, it's kind of tricky to hop into a relationship. Don't nobody feel comfortable to hop into a relationship now. Everybody feel more comfortable with just being more of their individual and staying strong in their purpose. So when it comes to just joining a relationship, we see that individuals that just feel like they need a relationship are damaged individuals. And it's like 97% of the world are walking around with damages, damaged goods, emotionally damaged, mentally damaged. It's like everybody is damaged now. So just hopping into a relationship is kind of like rolling the dice because you're compromising your spiritual peace. You're compromising your individuality to kind of help some other individual out with some insecurity or some trauma that they develop by interacting with other people. So it's kind of like it's kind of hard for humanity right now, and humanity is going through a tricky situation right now when it comes to just relationship and relating in general, so that nobody feels comfortable with actually hopping into one. So people just feel more comfortable with being by themselves. People just feel more comfortable with being alone, and that's kind of like what's needed right now. But if we're not taking this time alone to kind of assess these energies that we have been lost into, so we can start to redirect and change those energies and change the whole mechanism so we can be able to connect better, because that's all that we're here to do, is to connect. Because keep in mind that teamwork does makes the dream work. So if we're not connecting, if we're just being separate in our own little boxes, that can kind of give people that's altering this energy and altering the way that we see society and how society is being steered, this kind of gives them the upper hand, so they can present and capitalize off our energy or capitalize off our insecurities or our traumas by presenting puppets and things of those natures to kind of arouse these stimuli, arouse this arouse this intuition, arouse these feelings and these thoughts and feelings that we're trying to, you know, we're trying to assess for ourselves. So it's kind of like they're trying to capitalize off of us trying to heal ourselves. They're trying to capitalize and make money off of us trying to better ourselves and work on ourselves and actually do that self-shadow work and realization, so we can kind of have some form of internal enlightenment, so we can be able to be that light to help others out and get others out of those flunked out situations by just being an example. But it's people in this world that don't want that for us. It's people in this world that wants to see humanity and feel like they're just over humanity and feel like humanity is just, low-hanging fruit. So they're gonna do whatever they can in their power to keep us in some low-hanging fruit energies, so we can continuously repeat these cycles and regurgitate these cycles of hurt people, and trauma bonding and hopping into relationships based on phases, because they're not giving us the tools, or they're not giving us the ability to kind of know ourselves. So they're kind of limiting us and keeping us at a low comprehension level as humanity, as a collective, and making us, regurgitate or repeat the same cycles that they created. So they give us the problem and then they present the solution. And at the end of the day, the solution ain't even no solution. The solution is just them trying to capitalize and make money off of all of us having mental illnesses, off of all of us being emotionally damaged, off of all of us having damaged goods. So ain't nobody really evolving here when it comes to humanity. So we're getting the short end of the stick when it comes to humanity, when it comes to the collective conscious. So we're going to continuously stay at this state of being and this seed that was deeply planted from our grandparents, because they didn't know no better. They didn't know how to come together and build communities. They didn't know how to come together and teach the people that's going to be coming, under them, about things like, astrology and things of those natures, or teach people how to create their own banking system, teach people how to create their own government, teach people how to create their own education. Our grandparents kind of was rocked to sleep by those energies, so they didn't know no better. So when it comes to them, it's kind of like it's already chalked up for them. And now we're just that living representation of that seed playing out in actuality. Because when it comes to us being that seed, because they was in that state of being, so when they was, mingling, having sex, reproducing with us, those was the thoughts and feelings that was on their mind. And as spirits, we just hopped into those mentalities. We just hopped into those things because teamwork makes the dream work, to be birthed into this reality. So we already agreed to those desires. We already agreed to those thoughts and feelings. So now we're just thinking that's actual reality. Those GMO synthetic thoughts and feelings that our grandparents and our parents had when they was having sex, when they was, reproducing to make us. So now we're just walking, breathing representation of those GMO synthetic thoughts and feelings. So when it comes to humanity, it's kind of like we have to get out of those energies. So we have to raise our comprehension. We have to raise our awareness and start to co-create and start to connect in a more genuine, authentic way, and start connecting based upon these shadow government templates. Because if we keep confining and if we keep complying with these energies, then in like 2,000 more years, we're gonna end up killing each other due to, you know, STDs, things of those natures. Because ain't nobody really out here trying to protect themselves spiritually first. People are so lost and people are so illuminated into what they see externally. Nobody really knows the right starting point to even start doing the right, internal work, so you can start to become your own, you know, your own source. So it's like people's just running to the source. People is like running to the light. People's running to what's convenient, but don't know how to become their own source so they can start to generate, more healthier vibes and more healthier energies that's going to correlate more with true spiritual state of being. So we got to get back to that space as humanity. We got to get back to that space because we don't got so far from that space that if we stay going down this train of thought and line of reasoning, we're gonna end up destroying each other. People that look just like us. And the people that put us in these state of beings, they can just sit back and be like, we ain't got nothing to do with it. And continuously to capitalize and make money off of our energy, off of our currency, off of what we're giving our attention to. So those are some energies that we have to be aware of as a collective. And we got to do this self-evaluation and take that self-accountability and show them that we are the adult spirits, that we are strong spirits. Because we got to look at it like this. People that's in power and that's in rulership and that's trying to control over us mentally, and that trickles down and become our physical experience, these people are spiritual children because they don't know how to wash their ass. You only got to tell a child 9 or 10 times to go wash their ass. You ain't got to tell an adult 9 or 10 times to wash their ass. So if somebody keeps telling you over and over that, hey, you have this problem, you need to do something to fix this problem with yourself, then that's a spiritual child. So you're gonna have to keep continuously repeat this child to wash their ass. But if you're already a spiritual adult, then you're already gonna go through those thoughts and those feelings to kind of come to the realization that, you know what, I probably do need to wash my ass. I probably do got a problem. I probably do need to isolate myself for a good time to kind of find myself because I've been so lost into what I thought was, normal, and it's not normal. So we got to lose ourselves to find ourselves. And right now, everybody is lost, just running around with chickens with their head cut off, and don't nobody really want to find themselves. So we got to make sure that we are being aware of those energies as well too. So that's going to be tricky for people trying to hop into relationships. People trying to deal with their emotional insecurities and trying to get out of these traumas because we open ourselves up to the world. And now that we see that the world, nobody in this world is actually, a friend, or nobody in this world is actually genuine, or nobody in this world actually wants a true connection. People just gravitate towards what's presented and what's convenient and what's fake and synthetic. So people will do anything for those desires because keep in mind that humans, they'll do anything to be able to attain a desire or to keep a desire or to stay in some comfortable South Node holistic energies. Nobody really wants to take their spiritual path so they can be able to experience spiritual growth. Nobody wants to be able to, go through those trains of thoughts and lines of reasonings to be able to discover themselves and discover new things. People only going to gravitate to things that they're familiar with. So got to keep that in mind as well. So that's why so many individuals get hurt, especially if you're like an empathic spiritual person and you're a genuine person. It's like if you're a genuine person, it's kind of damaging to open yourself up to just any old body, any old human, because you don't know what type of spirit is utilizing this human vessel that's just gonna rock you to sleep, that's just using you to rock you to sleep for the time being until they can find something better or find something that suits more of energies that they likes to be comfortable with. So this is how people get hurt, and this is how people get emotionally damaged, because people really wants to just use people. It's like this is how the world is now. Everybody wants to be, people just wants to be users and manipulators. So we got to keep that in mind as well before wanting to engage or hop into a relationship with just any old body nowadays, because you don't know what you're gonna get. It's like rolling the dice, and you just gotta protect yourself. You gotta protect your spirit. You gotta protect your space. And to humanity, actually go through these cycles of wanting to take that self accountability and know what they have been doing is the wrong thing when it comes to the universal law and order, when it comes to universal nature, because they're so lost into the third dimensional natures, third dimension, what the third dimension has to offer, that it's kind of blinding us from our actual spiritual experiences, our actual spiritual encounters that we're trying to have with beings that's trying to be more into our favor, with beings that's trying to help us, and with beings that's trying to, reach out to us, that can represent or be an example of our spiritual predecessors. So we got to keep that in mind as well. We just ignore that and just follow the likes and the attention and what people can get wet off of via social media or whatever. So that's another thing that we have to kind of come to grips with when it comes to social media as well. But yeah, it's Big with the Life 360. Hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.